When we think of the story of the serpent in the Garden of Eden, what reason do we have to believe that the talking snake was anything other than a talking snake? What reason do we have to believe that the talking snake was the devil? It doesn't say that the talking snake was the devil or was Satan or Lucifer. It just says it was the serpent. Also, if the talking snake was in fact a snake that happened to be taken over by the devil, why would the species be cursed by, being forced to crawl on its belly? Why would the legs be taken away? So it had to be so the species had to crawl on its belly. It doesn't make any sense that the species was cursed by having its limbs taken if in fact it wasn't a snake that actually did it, but it was the devil, taking over a snake. It seems to me people always assume that it was actually the devil. But in the story itself, the serpent is really just a serpent. It's a talking snake. And, in fables, and, at least to some extent, you can look at the Bible stories, or at least the early Bible stories, or as fables. Animals do often talk, and so that it's not really that surprising when animals talk, and the that the snake and Eve have a conversation. Now, of course, there's also another thing about the that story, which is that the snake told the truth. It said that it told Eve that if she okay she ate of the forbidden she ate of the forbidden fruit. That the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. Okay, then the day that thou eatest of it thou shalt surely die. Okay, that's what God told him. Okay, now it says, the serpent was more subtle than any beast in the field which the Lord had made. So again, it just says it was a serpent. It doesn't say it was the devil. So it was a serpent. And we may eat of the fruit of any of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. They sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Now, the odd thing about it is the Yahweh, God, fed. He said, on the day that you ate of that fruit, you would surely die. But they didn't die. And the serpent said, you would become as gods, knowing good and evil. And they ate of the fruit, and what happened? They became like the gods, knowing good and evil. They realized, hey, we're naked.